There is a man who sat in a small room for years, surrounded by nothing but paper, red string, and silence. He was not strong. He was not fast. He did not have money or power or luck. What he had was a plan. And when that plan failed, and it did fail again and again, he did something almost nobody does. He didn't panic. He didn't quit. He simply said 4 words to himself. I already knew this. That is the mind of the professor. That is the mind of Sergio Marquina. And today we are going to steal something from him, not gold, not money, his mindset. Because that is the one thing in this world that cannot be printed, cannot be stolen back, and cannot be taken from you once you truly own it. Let me ask you something before we go further. How many times have you failed at something and immediately believed the failure was the end of the story? You tried the business, it collapsed. You finished line, believed the story was over. But what if I told you that failure was never the end of the story? What if I told you failure was simply page 14 of a 300-page book, and you closed the book at page 14, believing you'd read the whole thing? That is the mistake almost everyone makes. And it is the exact mistake the professor refused to make. When you watch a mastermind operate, you assume they are simply smarter than everyone else in the room. But that is not the real secret. The real secret is this: they assumed failure before it happened. They built failure into the blueprint. Most people build one plan and treat it like a sacred object. If it breaks, they break with it. They tie their identity to the plan's success, so when the plan fails, they feel like they personally have failed as a human being. But a mastermind never does this. A mastermind builds plan a knowing plan might die. And when it dies, they are already reaching for plan B, calm, unshaken, almost expecting it. This is not pessimism. This is preparation. Think about your own life for a moment. How many of your dreams have only one single path forward? One job, one relationship, one idea, one shot. If that is your entire strategy, then of course failure feels like death, because you gave it the power of being your only life raft. The professor never gives one plan that much power. He always asks the same question before he starts anything. If this collapses tomorrow, what do I do next? That single question is the difference between someone who is destroyed by failure and someone who is simply redirected by it. Here is something the world rarely teaches you. Failure is not a verdict on who you are. Failure is information. When an engineer's bridge design fails a stress test, they do not conclude, I am a failure and should stop being an engineer. They conclude, this particular design fails under this particular pressure. Now I know something I didn't know yesterday. That is exactly how the professor treats every collapsed plan. He does not ask, why am I not good enough? He asks, what does this failure tell me about the weakness in my system? This shift, from emotion to information, is one of the most powerful mental tools a human being can develop. Because right now, somewhere in your life, there is a failure sitting in your memory that you have never actually studied. You have only felt it. You have replayed the pain of it 1,000 times, but you have never once asked it the only question that matters. What is this trying to teach me? Pain without analysis is just suffering. Pain with analysis is strategy. The professor sat for hours after every failed simulation, not crying about it, not cursing his luck, but writing down every single variable that broke. That is not coldness. That is respect for the mission bigger than the moment. There is a reason a mastermind wears a mask before stepping into chaos. It is not to hide his face. It is to hide his fear. Behind the mask, anything can happen. Hands can shake, heart can race, doubt can scream inside the skull. But once the mask goes on, none of that matters because the mission does not care how you feel. It only cares what you do next. This is a discipline you can build without ever robbing a bank or planning a heist. You build your own mask every single day. Your mask is the version of you that shows up to the gym when your body wants to quit. Your mask is the version of you that sends the email even though your hands are trembling. Your mask is the calm voice you use when everything inside you wants to scream. Feelings are real, but feelings are not instructions. You are allowed to feel afraid and still act like the person who isn't. That is not fakeness, that is mastery. The professor was terrified more times than anyone in that story will ever admit. But terror never once stopped his hand from moving the pieces forward. That is the entire secret hiding in plain sight. We live in a world addicted to speed. We want the body in 6 weeks. We want the business profitable in 6 months. We want the relationship healed in 6 days. But every truly unbreakable plan in history took years, sometimes decades, of quiet, unglamorous preparation before the world ever saw the result. The professor spent years planning before executing a single move. Years. While the world called him crazy, obsessive, wasting his life on paper and string. He understood something they didn't, that impatience is the #1 killer of great plans. Impatience makes you skip steps. Impatience makes you launch before you are ready. Impatience makes you quit at month 3 of a plan that needed 36 months to mature. If you are in the quiet, boring, invisible middle of your own plan right now, the part where nobody claps for you, the part where no one even knows what you're building, understand this. That silence is not proof that you're failing. That silence is the sound of the foundation being poured. You do not see foundations, you only see buildings. But there is no building without the foundation nobody applauded. In every great plan, someone breaks, someone panics, someone makes a mistake that threatens to collapse the entire mission. This is not the exception to the plan. This is the expectation of any plan involving other human beings. The professor never designed a plan that assumed perfect obedience from everyone around him. He designed a plan that could survive imperfect humans because he understood people better than he understood locks and vaults. This is a brutal truth for your own life, too. Somewhere in your journey, someone will disappoint you. Someone will quit on the team. Someone will leak your idea, steal your credit, or simply fail to show up when you needed them most. If your entire plan collapses the moment one person fails you, your plan was never strong enough to survive contact with reality. Real strength is not found in a world where nobody ever disappoints you. Real strength is found in building something so resilient that even betrayal becomes just another variable you already calculated for. Nobody saw the professor for years. No cameras, no crowd. No applause, just a man, a table full of blueprints, and a question repeating in his mind. What if this fails? Then what? This is the room you must learn to love, the room where nobody is watching. Because everyone can perform discipline when the crowd is watching. Real character is what you do when the only witness to your effort is silence. If you are sitting alone right now, working on something nobody believes in yet, understand, you are exactly where every great mind before you once sat. The invisible room is not punishment. It is the price of admission to anything worth building. By the time a mastermind's plan finally succeeds, it looks effortless to everyone watching. They see the clean execution, the perfect timing, the calm confidence, and they assume this person was simply born lucky, born talented, born different. They never see the 12 versions of the plan that failed in a locked room years earlier. They never see the sleepless nights recalculating a single broken variable. They never see the moment doubt nearly won. You are not seeing someone's beginning when you admire their success. You are seeing their 47th attempt disguised as their first. So the next time you fail, and you will fail. Because failure is not optional in any life aimed at something worth having, do not ask yourself, why does this always happen to me? Ask yourself instead, what did the professor do in this exact moment? He didn't run. He didn't collapse. He sat back down at the table, looked at the wreckage of his plan, and calmly began drawing Plan B. So here is your mission, starting today. Stop treating failure like a verdict. Start treating it like a variable. Stop building only one plan and praying it never breaks. Start building a mind that survives no matter which plan breaks. Stop needing applause in the room where nobody is watching. Learn to love that silence, because that silence is where you are actually being built. You do not need to be the strongest person in the room. You do not need to be the fastest, the richest, or the most talented. You only need to be the one who refuses to close the book at page 14. The plan will fail. Expect it. Prepare for it. And when it does, sit back down, pick up the pen, and calmly begin writing Plan B, because the ones who win were never the ones who never failed. They were simply the ones who never stopped planning, fail like the professor, plan like it's already expected, rise like it was never in question.